District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza. Your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. It is another terrific Tuesday's edition of Talk Today as we invite you to be a part of our ongoing discussion. We'll start things off with some open line as we invite you to give us a shout and let your thoughts so shine. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And if you were out and about enjoying a few days off, well, good for you. Trust and pray it went well. It is going well if you're still on the break. If you're back in the saddle, well, happy trails to you. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. Going to start off with some open line. Give you a chance to share your thoughts with us. At 1 o'clock for about half an hour or thereabouts. Get a chance to talk about upcoming event Guardians Alive is putting on. Tell you about that if you're familiar with it. If you want to volunteer as a sponsor as well, draw alongside. And then, we'll take it through the day. But if it's a Tuesday, and if the month is drawing to a close, for some of us, it's excitement because another month begins and we're prayerfully expecting to be a part of it. For others, it's go, wow, it's the end of the month and I still have a lot to do. Well, what is it to say about, those resolves that you sort of put into your play, resolutions as they were, as the new year rolls in? But how many of us are actually still able to say, you know what, I made this particular commitment. Let's not call it a resolution. And still keeping it up somewhat. I still have to share because a good friend reached out to say, hey, let's encourage each other. She decided that, for this year, there were a couple of things that were important. Exercise always being top of the priority for many of us for different reasons. We're going to hopefully face another birthday. That means another year of hopeful life and the like. And then there are other things that happen. But she says she looks back over the last decade, and in particular the last few years, a lot of things have happened. Not always good, but not all bad either. And she said, well, exercise, but not just the physical exercise, which is crucial, the cardiovascular health, as we age. I would believe for all of us, because I think sometimes when we look at our children and we complain about their sedentary lifestyle that they've adopted, how much are we as parents, as adults, teachers, coaches, and the like, facilitating that? Not just through the gaming systems, but the lack of activity, the challenges that our children may have relative to being active. Or we as the adults join in and say, man, it is kind of hot outside. Oh, it's too rainy. Oh, it's too windy. Child doesn't need an excuse. Sometimes when they are dragging us to come out and play, so to speak, we find an excuse to, I can't do that right now. It's so hot, for instance. Well, the lady says, not just the physical exercise, but the, sort of concerted, and I inserted this word, the fellowship. So a physical activity, whether it's, a sport where you have some other team players, whether it's just something that you do in group fitness or the like. But she said, what about what we call socializing downtime, but to engage the brain in different ways. She says that she had visited her grandfather, just before, again, my word, everybody in the world were in prison, as it were, probably worse than some of those who been committed to long sentences. She was, taking what he was doing that he's always done for the last, years as she could remember. But for some reason then, she looked at it in a different, lens. The grandfather in the little village in which they live, with their friends and all of the similar age, played a particular game. And it's probably one of those games that may be sort of similar to dominoes or the like. You got little moving pieces and four seated at a table, and there's a board before them, and they're playing. And he said the laughter. Sometimes, older men like that probably may remember things as they happen, maybe a little bit creative in their recollection. But she just watched them, and even though she was only there for a short time, it seemed like every second was magnified. And as she returned to Cayman, she says, for some reason she couldn't get that image from her mind. Here they were, just playing. Something that she had seen, older men, when her grandfather was younger, doing the same, and he would take her, and that tradition continues. Now, 2020 rolls in. She's subjected, like the rest of us, to limitations in her movement and all the growing concerns and fears. And contact, became difficult. Physical contact impossible, and to some extent, being able to know what happened, with her grandfather and the like. And she says, sadly, her views, what was an otherwise active, healthy man, physically and mentally, seemingly from reports from the other cousins and family, was no longer. He became somewhat, again, her words, withdrawn, and has ever since. Now, despite all that the world has experienced, she says, we're still not yet at a place where we're back socializing and engaging and interacting. And even when she reaches out to her closest family and friends, they refuse to do so. Now, in talking to her, she says that we've become so fearful, so conditioned, that our socialization. And she's asking, and I wish in a sense that I could have recorded or could repeat it exactly, but she's asking, as adults, are we looking at the children? How she sees, the very young ones around her, just like all of us have been conditioned to grab our wallets, belts at one time to put on, or phones as it is now. They're first grabbing their mask to go anywhere. And what a norm have we created for them. Now, some would say, well, that's the best thing. Then the discussion naturally turns to, well, when is the world getting back to a sense of normalcy? And then, of course, well, is that thing that we return to worth it? Should we go back to something better? And if so, what is that? She says, many now in Cayman even having to travel for clients increasingly. Some are glad to, as borders reopen, as it were. But we've welcomed the cruise ships, and as we've seen across many jurisdictions, the UK perhaps being a prime example, masks are no longer required. In fact, can move about. Will we be doing the same, and if so, when? And with the continued investment in the physical plant, we're seeing what's happening in downtown Georgetown to not just make it more welcoming, more beautiful, but safer as well. Well, what mask help, as she asked? Would the removal be something that would be more welcome? Would it cause greater consternation for some of the populace? Well, much, I think, on the minds of many. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. And then the other thing in conversation just after that, as I was moving, fellow says, let me just ask. He's looking to get certain things in an idea where he could get it. He checked all the usual places that would sell such items, and in that short conversation, he relayed how increasingly difficult it seems to be for some to get the things that they would always ordinarily be able to access. And what we're hearing was a supply chain issue. And then he shared, what if that becomes the challenge? And that if we think back to examples again in history, where during wars things were rationed for different reasons and different outcomes. And now we can get something, but we can't get it because of how it's being dealt with. And what impact, if any, will that have? Now, naturally, as he shared, if there are certain foods that are unavailable, that could be an issue. You would have to sort of recondition your minds to say, well, I can no longer get this thing, and when I do, it's a treat. He said, think of ice immediately following Hurricane Ivan. Many people wanted ice, something cold, and when that became more readily available, you realize how you're taking just ice, for granted. Not just air conditioning, and certainly, having running water. How we take things for granted. Have we done anything more about it? He quickly referenced the conversation. He did say he didn't, listen to all of it, but the gentleman from Nebraska called yesterday to talk about, some of the different challenges that the farmers in Nebraska, in particular, the water supply. He said, he's not anyone that he would, be the first to not term himself as a farmer, but he has a little bit of space in the backyard, and from time to time, he'll put down certain things because he has, just an interest. But he knows when it rains, the plants, the weeds, and everything seem to do a lot better. And if that water even collected and stored for a while, is much better than the city water, which he happily drinks and uses for everything else, from washing his dishes to bathing himself to his clothes to flushing the toilets. Probably a lot like the rest of us. But yet, the well that he had before it was sort of discontinued was even better for the plants than the city water. And it got him to think, what happens later on if things get much worse than they are? Access, availability, and the like. Much to think about. Well, let's pause and take a short break. When we return, we invite you to give us a shout and share your thoughts with us. Each day is a gift. That's why we live in the present. Each day is a blessing, so we try to make the most of it. And some days, you take so much for granted you don't recognize. But if you haven't called us in a while, or if you've been calling for the last 2 weeks and you're not sure who will be answering today, well, I got a special treat for you. I won't tell you who. You got to find out. So if you call, you might just be pleasantly surprised, as wonderful as the others that were answering in the past. Who answers today? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Give us a shout, just out of curiosity, just to find out. Hey, a curious mind, an inquiring mind leads to great discovery and greater insight. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine. King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's going to be some open line until 1 o'clock. I don't know what your clock says, whether it's your digital clock or whether you're still like a few of us and still have an analog one, or there's your own internal clock. For some of us, say it's hungry time, not lunch time, it's feeding time. It's amazing how maybe because of us being creatures of habit, very, very, much so, and that we end up for the weekend at the same time doing the same things pretty much the same way every day. And even if we decide, well, I'm not going to stop this now, I want to finish it before I get to eat, your body tells you, feed me, get something. There are those who are very disciplined and they don't need a clock. They know that at a certain hour, they start to feel a little peckish. Some have been disciplined to ensure that if they don't stop then to eat, they'll end up doing, like many of us, just getting something to tide them over, as it were. And that's probably a quick sugary fix to give them a little boost of energy. That probably leads to, as many would share, not the healthiest eating habits. But with eating, do we also listen to our bodies relative to other things that may sort of indicate, hey, something is not quite right here. Even if we're tired, and instead of stopping to rest, we, again, probably push through, maybe get something, a bit of caffeine, a bit of sugar, or whatever it is to stimulate us and get us going. And I share that to ask this third thing that was shared with me today. The idea that, and I tied into what the lady was saying about her grandfather. The idea that even in Cayman, but certainly in other cultures, there are many who know of particular practices where, as important as work is, as committed and dedicated and evident the work ethic that exists, there's also a time for fellowship, for family, to relax and enjoy. Some would recall the Olympics not long ago, where there was a commercial on the American television that talked about that work ethic, and some would have said it was a bit of a offensive job almost. The Europeans who would take their summers, their extended holidays, and if you recall some of the social commentary that followed that, even a few sort of professional pundits may have even weighed in to share that there's a level of insensitivity. Nothing to be dismissive of a strong concerted work ethic, but it's also important to recognize that it's not only cultural, it's actually, important to the body, the mind, the soul, the spirit, and everything, to be able to relax. And whereas the commercial's intent probably was to showcase that here's a dedicated people who work, and by inference, suggesting that those who take extended holidays in the summers are necessarily as committed to that level of industry as it is. And the fellow was sharing that if you reflect on that, here we are in this time where sadly many people have missed out and are continuing to miss out on so much. So the lady's comments, separate and distinct from the gentleman who shared this, to me they resonate in that her resolutions, if you recall, as I was relaying what she was sharing, not just a physical exercise, but to spend time, to realize the importance. You at work and it's great, you get your bonuses and your pay raises, and hopefully you feel, adequately compensated for your effort. If you're the partner with your drawers, if you're the, senior manager with your bonuses and the like, and hopefully the employees with their, handsomely rewarded paychecks. But time, we all joke and jest and say, but after we're gone, people will say, oh, he was always at the work. What are you going to miss most? And are you going to be missed most for the fact that you're not at work, or that you're not spending, enough time with family and friends? So the fellow is saying that as we look at that, we're recognizing that we can do a lot of things now. We can work remotely. We can do a lot of our business in a way that should free up time. He said that he suggested to his colleagues that they strongly consider how they organize their work day in their working environment. And for those who want to come into the office, so be it. And and it's sometimes you wonder where things are running and rolling, and as we share with some of our comments. But let's go back to what we were just saying. So he shared with his colleagues that at the end of the day, how do you make it productive? Now, he does know that he was like this before, and very much like some of his business partners, where the employees need to be at work, between the 9 to 5, as it were. Not necessarily that they're the most productive hours for them. Once you can see them and they're doing their job, that's all that matters. And then there are some who work, much earlier or much later, and once the work is done, serving the clients when the clients' needs are attended to, their proficiency and the competence is there. Does it really matter? Now, he said the only thing that he thought was the one area where we seemingly want to transition to online, in his view, is the one area where we probably shouldn't, and that's education. Now, he said that he is taking many courses online, but as an adult, it works for him. Not as well as it works for some others who loved online. They have a video they can watch, they have assigned readings, sometimes digital and otherwise, and they can get to it on their own time, and they have that level of discipline. He can manage it. He knows that there are some others who prefer the interaction at one-to-one, even if it's online, live, where there's the interaction physical with the people. For some that can work, for others they need to be in a physical space. But he said our children. And as he was sharing that, I relayed that in a brief conversation yesterday, that play that we see the young ones engage in, I was of the view that that was not productive. I mean, they can play anytime, only to come to the realization, and thankfully a couple of decades ago, it was brought to my attention, and I was happy to change my perspective, that play is absolutely crucial for that young child's development. There's a problem solving and interpersonal skills, the negotiation, and all the things that happen as they're playing. They're learning to develop their language, their motor skills, and all sorts of things. And now we're seeing it. But he shared that we're now taking away more and more that physical interaction that our children, our very young children in particular, and as we introduce them to the world as it is. To what extent are we educating them and even misinforming them, even changing them so significantly that when they go into the world, they're no longer functioning as an independent thinking individual, but just these little bots that go about the place and little or no physical contact and interaction. You see, that might sound like some weird sci-fi movie, but what if that is the consequence, many decades down the road? And what if it's not that long from now that we actually start to see that? And he says it goes back to his own situation right here in this country. Even on the beach, sometimes many people still want to be, as far apart as they can be. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hello, sir. How are you today?
Not as good as you, but I'm good. But I just want to say something on informative and something that I think that people should realize. I don't think everybody knows. The middle lane, the way it's when you're going to turn out and you want to get in from some place, you get in that lane. And a lot of people don't realize that when you get on that thing there, you're supposed to merge. So you speed up according to the speed of the traffic, and then people let you in. But don't stop and want people to stop in the middle of the road to let you into the thing, because you're not going to get that. So I say to people, when you get in that lane there, unless something is coming in front of you in the other direction, you have a right to just speed up a little bit and get in merge with the traffic that's ongoing in the direction you want to go. So I hope people are listening to this, because it can be dangerous, because if I stop now to give you in the middle of a moving traffic, I'm liable to cause an accident. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. What do you think is happening though? Because as you're saying that, I'm actually now looking at a message from someone who was actually talking about the traffic, right? It looks like there's a video that is sent, but I won't dare open it just yet. But the comment is basically indicating that perhaps the way we're driving on the roads now, we're not the most attentive and considerate. So what do you think is happening? I mean, you go on the road and you see people going, looks like faster than the speed limit. Some are going a lot slower. Some are zipping in and out. No indicators. Different little things. I mean, what is happening?
Well, I don't know, but I think one of the things I think that they should do also, because on a busy street, I see it happening on South Street, North Street all the time. People would stop on the opposite side of the road in the wrong direction. So when they come out now, they have to, go forward directly into the oncoming traffic. And those people that park like that should get tickets. I mean, they should really, really be ticketed people, because it creates a situation where I saw one the other day backing up. He was backing up on the main road, and my God, thank God I'm very alert. And oh my God, if I hadn't switched, he would have hit me. You see, and we got people here that have never driven in any place other than they have never driven in any place in their life. But they come here and get a license. I don't remember hearing about a driving school in Cayman anymore or anything like that. And people, you just come here, rent a car. They got a driving license, but they rent a car, and they don't know the rules and regulations. Okay, so they come from a place probably where they drive on the right side of the road. They got rules and regulations in their country. Come to Cayman and they just got to rent a car because they got a license. You see, and these are things that we have to be careful with, because, I mean, I know I'm not, being critical, and I'm just thinking about safety. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Well, as I listen to you, it's obvious that for many of us, the roads are probably not respected in the way that we would probably expect, or not in the way that we thought they should be. So if you look at what you're sharing, is it the absence of the driving schools? Is it the conflicting instruction that we may get, the information. I think back to not long ago when it seemed publicly there was some confusion as to the consensus as to how do you utilize the roundabout. I'm reading this comment, and hopefully I read it correctly as quickly as I did, but the person indicates that is there not on the offense of let me read back what he says, when you're driving, inconsiderate driving. And I'm trying to think back to a conversation sometime back where if someone is in the roundabout on the outside lane and goes all the way around, passing each exit and almost doing a 360, and the person on the inside of the lane then collides with the other person as they try to exit, that is now blocking that lane because they're on the outside, it would appear that the person on the outside will be charged with inconsiderate driving. But should you not now have a accepted, established practice as to how we enter and exit the roundabouts? To her blessed memory, Miss Aileen always shared that we need to understand much more.
But that's what I'm saying. The fact that people get licensed not because like I said, there's one thing I've always said too. I'm going to say this now because we have to don't assume things about people.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are places in the world that have people in trouble. It's go take a look at some of in the Middle East or the Far East there in some of these countries there where they don't have lines on the road. They got 50 cars, going in the same direction, but everybody, picking their way through the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened. This is, and some of these people come here and they're kind of glad the CK man isn't that bad, but I'm saying that still, if people don't understand the rules and regulations of traffic in Cayman Islands, then the likelihood is they're going to cause an accident or do something wrong, and that's why we must stress when we get kids or people getting driver's license, stuff like that, you got to have a book. I've never seen a booklet here with a driving instruction. I've never seen a booklet in Cayman with driving instructions. I don't know if they got one or not.
Yeah. There is something available online. I've seen it about in different ways. One of the individuals who teach driving did produce something. I know again that Miss Aileen publicly had shared a number of times the need to, have a very comprehensive road code in existence. She did share that sometimes some of us are probably just unfortunate through our actions set bad examples when it comes to our use of the roads. But you are right, and maybe that education. Now, take for instance, if you had a driver's education in schools, is it to instruct the children, or is it another thing that we do in schools to set a test and exam to somehow discourage children from learning and punish them for participating? Do you tell a child on Friday, well, come on in the morning, you have an exam, when there's an opportunity to prepare, you didn't even do anything prior to instruct the child. Anyway, as we go into the break, my friend, any final quick thoughts?
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say before I get off is this, that I wish that the NRA would have regulatory instructions on the stops that you put in front of cars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they got 5 or 6 different people that would have made these stops. Some of them is as high as 6 inches above the ground, and most cars today are low in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And people drive up now, and they realize what happens when you get too close. You literally tear the bottom of your car out
mm-hmm.
because you're too high. You don't need anything more than 3 inches above grade. It's planting.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you touch that, you can know you hit something.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And then people have a tendency now to park instead of going as far in as they can. They should. Then they park a little outside. I've seen one car with about 2 feet
mm-hmm.
out in the drive aisle because they didn't want to hit the spot. This is a pretty big car, but this is what I'm saying happens, and so we got to You got to just think about these things, and it's easy to do. Let it be the responsibility of the owners of the building where the parking is, and say this is what you have to do. Government shouldn't have to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, good points, and those things help us if we pay attention. Hey, thank you for that, sir. With respect, let's just quickly pause and take this break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
CUC Advisory. Due to infrastructure upgrades, customers on Water K Road, Finger K Road, and Camp Drive in Cayman Kai from the junction of Water K Road and Finger K Road south will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Tuesday, April 5th between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. For more information on the outage, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Something big is coming to Radio Cayman.
Have you heard? Well, what is it?
For 3 days only, April 5th to 7th.
I know what it is, but I can't tell you. Ma, you don't know? How you know?
You don't want to miss this.
Well, hurry up and tell us now.
Radio Cayman is offering something big for all our advertisers. Contact RC Sales at gov.ky or get in touch with your account executive to learn more.
So you're really not going to tell us?
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you so much for joining us. 949-8037. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Awesome, man. Blessed. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Enjoying a beautiful morning.
Well, thank you.
Like what one little old woman used to always say, what a beautiful day for the Lord to come again.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, just listening to that gentleman there about the traffic. I wasn't planning on calling to talk about anything today, but yesterday I was blown away when I was driving on the Western Street going down towards Tibbetts Enterprises. Saw a vehicle coming from in the distance, and there were like 6 cars up ahead. One was getting ready to turn in, which would have given me the right to go around to continue, or either wait till they completely turn. But for where the guy was turning in,
it was kind of like a congested area, so I was going to make my attempt to go around. When I looked in the rearview mirror in this, I think I know who the guy is too. I think he works for health service. I mean, he went through that 25 miles per hour. I was entering the 25 at 40 because you come out of 40 into 25. And when he passed me through that 40, he was doing about 70 miles per hour going to the west. And I mean, everybody just pull off the side of the road and wonder, try and figure out what's happening or what's going on. But I don't know what the reason for that was, and I didn't follow it up by reporting it to the police or anything, but I was listening to what that gentleman was saying, and it's so true about how people drive on the streets. And the thing that tickles me most, is most of these people that driving on the street, I have sometimes contact with them, talking with them, and sometimes seeing them in the bank. And they have to get people to help them sign their name or read out on the check what it says. I don't understand how a person that can't read and write, how they got to know the rules and the regulations on the road, how they got to be able to read the sign, how they got to be able to understand what the lines down the street or on the edge of the street mean. Because we have a problem around here, the same way the gentleman we're talking about. We find them parking around the bins, and all of a sudden you're coming around the bins at 30, 35 miles per hour, boom, and there's a car right in front of you on a blind spot. And if you ask me, they don't know the rules, they don't know what the signs mean, but yet they're driving on the street.
What do you think, and we've seen this in other jurisdictions, we've unfortunately had a case before the courts, but do you think that there are instances where people may have a license but are not duly qualified, didn't go through the proper testing, and somehow managed to have, I guess, what would amount to a fake license?
But even, is there something as a fake license? To me, it seems like a real joke because, first of all, they have to set a written test.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I understand is labeled on through the computer system, and then they have to do a driving test. And yes, to the gentleman, yes, they do have a book regarding the signs and the regulations on the road. But the thing about it is, they sit and help these people read out what it says and tell them, okay, this is a multiple choice answer A, B, or C.
Mm-hmm.
And then they point out to them, okay, this is A, answer A, circle that one. Answer C, circle that one. That isn't in educating that person enough to know what to do. If the person cannot read and write, why are the law allowing these people to not go through a proper schooling, a proper driving schooling, and go through where they can be on the road, allowed to be on the road? Because anybody can get their license. But who are going to be able to read what the signs on the road is suggesting you do? They understand if the sign say turn left, turn right, this means this X or this Y means whatever, children crossing, school zones. They don't even know what these signs mean.
Mm-hmm.
How can they be allowed to drive on our public streets?
Mm-hmm. It's something to consider. I mean, the safety of that person, the safety of others, but also, as you infer, the integrity of the system as well. You have to wonder, when these things transpire, why is it able to continue?
Yeah, because the whole thing about it is, you know that it boils down to the point of one rubbing the other one hand. And these things, if they don't stop that, it's going to create a problem in our country. And that is the most, we like I keep saying all the time, Sterling, we cannot go nowhere else and do these such things. Why I'm here and we shake their hand and let them go, we make them go about their business. If I have to take an exam 3-4 times before I pass, why shouldn't that individual that can't read and write make sure that they can properly do what they have to do before they proceed with these things? That to me is not making sense.
Mm-hmm.
All that is telling to me someone is helping someone, and then when it becomes a problem with them on the road, the people then report something to the police, and then the police goes to them, and they say, no, they don't do nothing wrong. So how they got to know that they're doing something wrong if they don't know what the wrong is?
I appreciate your sentiments, man. Let's chat again later on in the show if you want, but we just got the news break to take, so thank you for that call. Enjoy your afternoon. All right. Let's pause. When we come back, more talk today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. With Easter only 3 weeks away, the Department of Environmental Health reminds campers that all applications for bonfires permits are to be submitted to the Public Lands Commissions for consideration. Following the passing of the Public Lands Regulations in 2021, the authority to issue bonfire permits were transferred to the Public Lands Commissions. Therefore, the Department of Environmental Health will no longer process these requests. Applications should be directed to the Secretary of PLC via email at plc@gov.ky. In international news, the Queen has joined her family at a memorial service to celebrate the life of the Duke of Edinburgh. Prince Philip, who died last year, aged 99, was described as a remarkable man committed to down-to-earth causes. The service was organized as COVID rules meant his funeral, held almost a year ago, had only 30 people present. The UK has seized its first super yacht in British waters as part of sanctions against Russia. The £38 million yacht named Phi is owned by an unnamed Russian businessman. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said the individual was not currently sanctioned but had close connections to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The UK has introduced a raft of sanctions against Russian individuals and businesses following the country's invasion of Ukraine. 7 passengers have died after gunmen attacked a busy train in Nigeria, hospital sources have told the BBC. The gang mined the track, forcing the train carrying 970 passengers to a stop on Monday evening. Gunmen subsequently surrounded the carriages and opened fire, one passenger told the BBC. An unknown number of passengers were abducted from the train. Kidnapping for ransom has become commonplace across Nigeria. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts was born at Cotton Tree Bay in Cayman Brac on 15th October 1916 to James Nathaniel Tibbetts and Elsie Huldah Tibbetts, nee Hunter. His father, uncles, and paternal grandfather were highly respected in the island of Cayman Brac for their skill in carpentry and shipbuilding. In addition to this, his maternal grandfather was a master mariner. Coming from a family of carpenters and seamen and living near the family shipyard, he was involved in the shipbuilding trade from his early childhood. As a young student, he attended school at Cotton Tree Bay under the tutelage of Robert Mr. Bert Foster until Standard 6. And in 1928, at the age of 12, he learned to drive a car. This was part 1 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for joining us. And when we have a wonderful partnership with community stalwarts and corporate citizens coming together to sort of empower, engage, inform, entertain, and somehow encourage the society, we see a stronger, healthier place. And people like Mr. Donza Harrison, I must commend you. Guardians Alive and your initiative bodes well for a healthier community. So good afternoon to you all.
Oh, thank you for having us, and good afternoon to you all too.
And I think when we talk about bringing people as examples and like as we go around the table, we see so often that we don't always appreciate the importance of not just taking good advice but following it. So that corporate partnership of Health City, but equally a physician like Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Sandeep, equally thank you not just for coming on board but for sharing with us so that we can see that.
Thank you, pleasure.
And I think if you look at Scott Ruby, who for some, even though it's only 1,000 years since you've been in Cayman. It feels like your presence has been that long. So good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon. Good to be here. Thanks.
All right. And thanks much. But Mr. Donza's Guardians Alive, as we get into the discussion of what's going to be transparent on Saturday, for those who may be increasingly curious, let us know. Tell us a little bit about Guardians Alive.
Okay. Guardians Alive is an effort to get the community out and off the couch and fellowshipping with other people, having a great time, shining as brightly as they can. And we have photographers, we have drone, we have lots of things to capture that community spirit, because a lot of communities don't have that. If you notice, we just came out of a lockdown, and it's not healthy for a lot of people, and now we have an increase in suicides. It's that time that we get to love on each other, see each other, ask each other how we're doing, and see how well we're doing. And even if you can't run a 15-minute mile, you can come out there and walk a dog. You can because even dogs, just being with dogs, they love on you and stuff. And moms are tired. They need support. So it's about trying to get every fitness level out there and every age out there. We have something for everybody, and then we feed them after because they earn it. And this year, we're actually opening the kitchen because we have enough food, thanks to Chef Shannon Omelette Station, that they will be able to feed up to 1,000 people. So we want everybody to come out. It's insane. We have like about 15 to 17 chefs. And young people and all that coming out there and loving to serve the community. So it's about community.
So that's this Saturday at the Public Beach from 6 a.m.? 6
a.m. for the main events. If Scott will tell you a little bit more about the elite events and stuff, but the main event is he's also the run director for that. That starts at 6 a.m. So you want to get out there early. We're working on some parking for them to be able to park right opposite, so it's not too much of a hassle. But I think we want to cover all bases. And that's
so Scott, I mean, when she say elite, most people, they must be talking about Scott.
They must be talking about Scott.
I appreciate that. It's been a really interesting trip from the couch to elite.
And that's how that country song, from the couch to elite.
Kind of feels like it really.
I lost a pound and
a week. I gotta pinch myself sometimes and think, this is really happening. I just to reach pro status last year, coming from the couch in 2009. The reason we're together in this is because we both have an intense belief in the fact that anybody can do it. All you have to do is get up put left foot in front of right and then repeat.
Yeah. Say your mantras. Mine right now is April 3rd, soon come. April 3rd, soon come.
But now, if you're planning on being elite, we do have the Break the Record here. And so once you've got going and you're up and you've become a runner and you've been bitten by the bug, we have men's and ladies 5K and 10K elite records to be broken, which the 5K time for males is 17:32, and that is jackrabbit fast.
Yeah.
For the ladies, it's 21:13, still fast. When you go 10K, the men is 36:30, another greasy lightning fast time.
Yeah, because this is not a flat racetrack course.
It's the only hilly course in Cayman. And then the ladies is 42:02. So if you're new to Cayman and you want to come meet the running community, every single one of us will be there. And if you are been in Cayman or new to Cayman and you want to start doing something, here's the chance, because everything will be there for you. Runners, the non-impact stuff, it's all there. So if you think you don't have the resources, you are incorrect.
Exactly.
And that's something that I was looking at, that perhaps the new entrant to the island may be more inclined to seek out and to see what is available. Those who have been there for a while, maybe just like the rising sun, we see it every day, but we never partake.
Oh, totally. All the time. I can tell you how many true Caymanian West Bayers that I actually see listed registered. And I'm trying to change that. I've been working feverishly to change that, but it's too... Not counting the Guardians, we got some. They will register, but they wait for that 11 and a half hours and then at the 12 hour and 25 minutes, they go like, "Oh, can you squeeze me in? Please open back up the registration," or they just show up because it's a free event. Why are you registering for a free event? But our chefs need to prepare. They don't like to waste food. So when we noticed that people were not registering early and stuff, I opened it up to the community because we want to feed. The chefs are determined that they are going to feed. And that's like, try to imagine this, feeding 800 people in 2 hours.
Kind of like at a kitchen table in some of our homes, huh? But I want to talk more about the physical aspect of it, and you talk about the elite for the running, and I know Don's alluded to the other events for those who. But before we do, Dr. Ramesh, the idea that health of body, mind, and spirit go hand in hand. Scott made it sound easy, put one foot in front of the other. But is it that way? Well, your perspective from the physicians.
So, as Scott said, you have to start at some point. So you have to get off the couch, you have to start exercising. And prevention is always better than cure. So if you can prevent something like a heart attack or a stroke, it's always better. So which is why Health City is happy to support this initiative to get people active, get them fit. And
if I might know, I mean, Dr. shared, so Dr. Sandeep, from that perspective, sometimes when we're younger, whether in our teens, early 20s, early 30s, still being young, early 40s, early 50s, early 60s, still being young, we take health for granted, we take activity. We're busy in our careers, we want to pay attention to our families, and whatever socializing we do, it isn't always involved in some physical activity. But I think you've probably support the notion that if you have that initial, consistent, concerted commitment to health and fitness, going in tandem with family and the financial sort of willingness to provide through your career, if it's a consistent upward trajectory together, it would make it that much easier. But there's a divergent approach. You've got your career and you've got your exercise. One has to take back seat to the other, or does it? How do you balance that?
As Dr. Ramesh said, prevention is always better than cure. So now the guidelines have become more it's changed now. It's not like how it was before. So the health comes as a priority. That means you can't wait till you become 40 or 50 to start doing your basic health check, regular physical exams and the blood tests. So it's as early as 21 years now. So you should be looking at your own health, look at your family history, and see what risk factors you have from the family and what risk factors you yourself have, like obesity or bad lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, smoking, all those habits. If it is, the higher it is, the more it is for you to become an early victim for chronic illnesses, so diseases. So, so screening for wellness or it's a preventative, health. It's very important to start right from 21 years, and at least for 35 years. Yes, you have to do it. You have to take care of yourself. You can't wait for a symptom to start and say that, oh, I don't have anything. I don't manifest with anything, so I don't have to do any blood test because I don't feel anything. So that thing should not be there in somebody,
And in saying that, we even had our elite, one of our beloved athletes who passed from pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
He had 3 months, and he had a 3-month fight, and it shook the entire community. And even to one of our guardians, who's like so elite as well, she went and got her checked. She too was not well, and she was up with you guys for quite a while. And she had actually won one of your wellness checks. So it was so coincidental that I awarded her that, and she promises that she will use it. And I chased her for a few months before Coach died to go and get checked, and she just couldn't find the time to do it. And, so now she's really, grateful for it.
But that is it, the time. And for all of us, we have 24 hours in a day. Some will stretch it to 25. We managed to find an extra hour.
So. Like Scott.
Yeah, and that balance, the professional, the physician who is trying to figure out, how do I do all this to make sure my patients need to find time for him or herself equally to be healthy, to rest the mind, to rejuvenate the body. Saturday morning, 6 a.m., someone's going to be the weather's good, I'm going to go fishing. We get ready for the church. There are all of these commitments, but if we're not healthy physically, mentally, those are all for naught.
Yeah.
So let me then ask, go back to Scott for a second. We're going to write the lyrics to a song from the couch, to elite. We'll figure out the lyrics, but sometimes it needs, or let me rephrase it, does it need something to transpire in our life that causes us to have a second look? So some people listen to illness, some people...
It did for me.
It did for me. I think I got sick and tired of being sick and injured, and I actually made a decision, and I got so addicted to the running and stuff, but I was injuring myself even further, not knowing it, because I didn't know how bad the IT band syndrome had gotten. And it took a long time, and then I actually had to get assistance with, and that's why I do the essential oils. And it helped my body, my muscles to relax to where the treatment from the physiotherapist, because if you don't do it safely, that's why we connect. We have both, Scott has come from massive injuries, and what was... some of your injuries?
Before anything started, I was morbidly obese.
Yeah, that alone.
Pre-hypertensive, pre-diabetic, morbidly obese, bad knees, and a long list of stuff that I can't do.
Yeah.
I had to change that mindset. When I changed the can't do mindset into a can do mindset, I dropped 140 pounds. I don't take any medicine whatsoever, and
how are your knees?
I'm an elite runner now. They're great.
Yeah. And the reason
obviously, how's your wheelbarrow? Well, I carry too much around, right? Yeah. It's just like that. Your wheelbarrow's going to last longer if you don't carry so much. It's just that easy.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because I knew you shared your story with us publicly, from us personally, and reflecting on that and seeing the importance of what Saturday could be in terms of that jump start. Okay, it's not January the 1st. It's even better. It's April. Much better month than January. Just saying. Because Easter's in April. And
Easter bun. Oh yeah, they gotta come work off to earn that Easter bun.
Too much bun and cheese.
No, don't go for the Easter bun. The cheese is okay, but the chocolate is better. But I say that to Jess, because for some of us, we need impetus. We need something to spark us, right? Yeah. And if we have the wellness checks, we have the physicians like the Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Sandeep and others, and the example of the Scots, you don't need to be 25, you can be 52.
I was 50. I was 43 when I started doing all that.
Right.
The best time to plant a tree was yesterday.
Yeah. And if not, do it today. Do it now. Right.
Now.
So for those who come out, the runners are runners. Runners are particular special breed of people, and as you get into it, you get the bug as usual. But what other activities do you have in store for those who might say, well, I'm not quite sure yet, I'm even ready for a 1K, unless it's money. Susan will take it anytime, but it's a different story. What are the sort of things you have for Saturday, Mr. Donza, physically as well as socially?
Okay, so we have the water aerobics with Coach Laura Ribbons. She's doing it free. And no matter how many times I tell people it's free, they say, so how much does all of that cost? And I'm like, okay, it's free, really. All of the physiotherapists, the doctors, Dr. Romnish is out there. If you have arthritis or if you have something, you need to learn how to be mobile safely. They can come out and look at you, see how you're moving right now. And we have physiotherapists for elite athletes, and he's a specialist in recovery. He can look at you or you can make an appointment to see him from there. It's a way to connect with the professionals that I have found and proven that they truly love the community. And Scott is there. I point people to him because he has a training program that he knows how to train you safely. He knows how to help you not injure yourself, because it's not just about running. So the water aerobics is on the beach. First session is 6:30, but the intros start at 6, right? So you got to be there for 6. The first session is AM. And the sessions are half an hour, and then she does a second session. So we try to break it up. And then Doris Avalos, she's doing a little fun, clean dancing on the beach, but it's retro, so it's fun and clean. And they will have movement that's not high impact. And the doctors, the Red Cross, we have 2 professional lifeguards. One is Coach Ryan of the Department of Sports, and one is Mr. Lifeguard Craig Musden. He is of the Royal Life-Saving Lifeguard Society in Canada, and he is out there to make sure that everybody, whether they're injured or whatever, is exercising safely and they're not hurting themselves. And we have a lot of people to watch your back. Scott has all the Guardians. He's the run director, and Marlene Moore is the walk director. She is helping to make sure that people are exercising safely. No arm punching. All those tips they will get, they'll learn, so that they will be able to exercise safely when they go out there. And while they're out there, our guardians, our bike guardians, also help to make sure that the cars are slowing down, that the police are there, the cadets are there. It's one of the safest, it's one of the most marshaled events, because Dr. Romnish goes out in front of the fast runners in case anything happens. God forbid, he's ready. We have the AED machines. We are ready.
And Dr. Long's a fast runner, so he's out.
Yeah, he's out in the car. He's out in the Red Cross car.
I'm in the car.
He's in the Red Cross car.
I'm just teasing. See, and this is what good laughter makes good medicine.
Doctor going to beat a 1732 with a defibrillator
in the car.
No, but I commend the concerted effort and the community involvement, but the endeavor to not just be safe, but to include people, because I think too often we don't know how to make that first step. We know we want to, but we don't know, and then we do it and we inadvertently injure ourselves, or we are fearful that, but what if something happens? This is a good time. And I commend you and all the physicians, and Dr. Sandeep included. You have to take away, yourselves away from your schedule, your lives, your practice. And that's a huge commitment. So thanks very much, Ron.
That's like 4 o'clock in the morning you're coming out there?
Yeah.
You come off shift and just go straight there. It's like Susan. No?
Yeah. She's an early bird.
Yeah, I'm an early person, so.
But let's talk to it, because I think this Saturday there are lots and lots of things happening. A lot of social things, a lot of other things that are a little bit more somber, a lot of things educational based. And in the Cayman context, too often we say, there's nothing going on. Only nothing going on because you don't avail yourself. On that one day alone, between 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. and 4 p.m., that 12-hour slot, there's a lot of good things. So if we balance ourselves, we could come to this event, enjoy it, we can go and do the other things.
Yeah.
You want to feed 1,000. Nice omelet station?
Yes.
All the fixings?
Yes. There's no meat though because we
keep
it. Yes. They have the greens and the veggies and stuff. What we don't do is white omelets though. We could steam just the vegetables for you, whatever, because my husband has an egg farm, so he mixes and safely stores everything. We have everything set up from the night before because this is a massive community area that we set up. It just sort of erects and then disappears like nothing happened. And we just have to look back like, did I really just... It happens, right?
Yeah. Come 10 o'clock, it's just beach time.
Beach time.
You never know we're there.
But this is what I think it takes when you organize, you mobilize, and you're committed to something, and it can show us what can happen. I think back to you visit your physician, you schedule, each one comes in, and if you take that advice and then you come back and you follow it along, you see an improvement, not just in your physical health, but your mental approach to making the changes that, Scott said, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday.
Yes,
Don't wait for tomorrow. But we're not doing that even with our health. Mr. Donzer says, how many of us do we know have put off that mammogram? Put off that, X-ray, have put off that physical check, even when it's not something that is precluded because of insurance or money. We just don't do it. From that perspective, Dr. Ramesh, let me ask. Health is probably our wealth. We say this so often it becomes a cliche. Yet we don't prize it. What can you say to our listeners that get them to appreciate, whether it's start in the morning through a physical activity, whether it's come to being motivated by what is around them, whether it's seeing that we have an immense resource that is on par with some of the larger metropolitan areas, and then we also have probably some of the best physical spaces. The public beach alone is a great place.
We're surrounded by therapy.
How do we get people so that, when they come to you, it's just a wellness check, it's not interventional?
So the thing which we're seeing more and more, not only in the Cayman but everywhere in the world, is how younger people are falling victims, things like heart attacks, strokes. It's no longer a thing of people over 65. You're now seeing people who are 21. We had a young girl the other day who was 21 years old with a stroke. And so these are preventable if they do some kind of lifestyle modification. Sadly, it takes an event like a stroke or a heart attack, either of the person or someone in the family, for people to wake up. So I would say don't wait for that. And
that's the thing, I won't get into the discussion now, and hopefully when we do, it's not just academic nor intellectual, but it's actually informed. We're seeing lifestyle changes, the foods, the lack of activity, the less engaged that we are with each other and playing cards and dominoes and just socializing. And when we do, it's not in a healthy way necessarily. And then there are all the other things that are transpiring that could lead to some speculating, asking questions and being condemned for so doing. But here's an opportunity, Mr. Donzer, you provided for the community through the extended partnership with sponsors, with volunteers, to do something that may encourage us to appreciate our health.
We have so many sponsors who see what we're trying to do here, and one of the sponsors, Coach Derek Larner's ex-boss, they actually sent something. Do you mind if I?
Yeah, go right ahead.
And do you have it?
I do, but like you, have it on electronic version. So if you probably can read this, it's much easier.
And the thing about it is, I remember the first time that I had Scott come and talk to us. He's a funeral director, a Baden funeral. How many funerals do you see in a day?
Especially now to even more.
Yeah.
And 150, 165.
Yeah.
Plus the
how many are from preventable diseases?
Well, I'd have to say a wide variety of deaths are preventable to a certain degree. It's not like drive slower. That easy of a prevention, but you could eat a little slower, maybe a little cleaner, a little nicer. I say it would be interesting if we were really honest on our tombstones. Here lies Scott. He couldn't be bothered to eat right. Here lies Scott. He didn't exercise. He was too embarrassed to get a colonoscopy. he didn't worry about, or she didn't worry about a mammogram. All those things that led you there. It's actually, I don't know if it's coincidental or what. They have the doctors sitting across from the undertakers, on all of us talking about health.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no coincidences in the world.
Yeah.
The last thing that I did before I started to quit smoking and all the rest of it is feel like I was having a heart attack. And when I came into the back door of the funeral home, the next person we were going to be dressing and placing in a casket was shaped exactly like I was. And I said, if you are not the biggest idiot in the world, I don't know who is. Because you're sitting here burying these folks who aren't even taking care of themselves, and you're not doing it your own self.
Right.
How much can you take the horse to water?
But it's also, as Mr. Nelson gets to read that, it's also too, I think, I say this alluding to a comment I tried to make earlier, hopefully it came across how it was shared with me. We don't appreciate time. Right? We know how much time it is. Some of us will calculate how many seconds it is in a minute and how many hours it is and whatever. We can do that mathematically, right? But we don't use the time. And as employers, we want to see our employees. Well, you're supposed to be contractually here between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. I want to see you, right? It doesn't matter if they're productive, just generally speaking. But that employee could work, say, a 4-day work week. Now, I use as an example because it was brought to me in the mid-90s. And I thought, wow, you saw that in Germany? Yeah. And speaking to it today, 30-odd years later, whatever it is, how many people are still consistent now? The physicians are on call 24 hours every day.
Same.
So, yeah. I mean, this is... Ms. Susan reminds us of the break. Let me perhaps save myself from further incrimination. Let's pause. When we come back, let's read this and let's have a chat. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven-roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway. Eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy. Service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy. Wholesome values with modern conveniences.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments until April 9th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointments slots are limited whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
It's an early years extravaganza, the first ever of its kind, happening right here in the Cayman Islands at Victory Tabernacle, Eastern Avenue, on Sunday, April 3 at 4:30 p.m. It will be an evening of excellence. If you have children between the ages of 6 months to 8 years old, come on down and join this expression of the arts. There will be music, dances, poems, early years fashion show, and much, much more. To register your item, please scan the QR code on the flyer or email us at ecce@gov.ky. This is brought to you by the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit in the Ministry of Education. It's an early years extravaganza at Victory Tabernacle, Eastern Avenue, on Sunday, April 3 at 4:30 p.m.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and it's a pleasure to spend another 10 minutes or so speaking about Guardians Alive, a wonderful event coming up again on Saturday at 9 a.m. it'll end. So it starts at 6. By 10 it's gone. So 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the public beach. Very grateful to Mr. Don Zahars and Scott Ruby, and Dr. Sandeep together with Dr. Ramesh for joining us. And Mr. Donza, it's a community initiative from the egg purveyor. Your husband has so pleasantly provided for wonderful chefs to prepare to all the participants. So you were sharing with us, and I think Coach Derek was incredible as a race director in the past. So.
Yes, I miss him every day. Every day I'm organizing this event because he used to cover pretty much everything. I just tell him dates changed, and he said, okay, got it. And it's done, and I just work on everything else, sponsorship and all of that. But now we have to pull together and do this event in his honor, and so many people are trying to do the roles that he used to do. So BDO Cayman is our title sponsor for the Break the Record event, and they sent a statement, an apology that they couldn't be here, and they said, we're honored to sponsor this event once more in memory of our friend and colleague Derek Larner, or as many others who know him, Coach Derek, and as his daughter Scarlett knows him, Daddy. His work on and off the athletics track, in uniform, at work, and at home impacted so many in such positive ways, and continues to do so through events like this. We were delighted that this past Saturday, Derek was the recipient of a National Heroes Day Award as a uniformed services pioneer, the award being accepted by his wife, Laura, together with little Scarlett, and it was just beautiful to see that. At BDO, we could not be more proud of him and his many contributions. He was like a big brother to me. He didn't want me to worry about anything, and he was always cheering me on. If you have a free event, people are still going to criticize you. If anything goes wrong, they will point that out to you. They will come, you should have had this and you should have had that. But everything costs money. The cost of vegetables went up double. My husband now, to get the same vegetables, he has to pay twice the amount. To get little things in the store, twice the amount.
If they're available, right?
If they're available, correct.
But that's the challenge, right? And even as parents, right? The child has 10 subjects, 9 A's, and 1 A minus. You got an A minus? Really? I mean, what about the 9 A's? So we're, for whatever reason, we do that, and I think that's a good way to maybe through Scott and Dr. Amish in particular, get us to focus on the positive.
Yeah.
Here's a free event. Here's a community event. The public beach, to the best.
And you get chances to win prizes. You get medals. It's all sponsored. The athletes.
With the negative, you've really tried.
Yeah.
Well, but we have people who are very.
They're very.
We have to love them too, and eventually they'll see their way through. You have to have faith in those people for them to have faith in themselves. So we always have to keep them in mind that those are exactly the people that we're after. If you're down in the mouth and getting down on the mouth on everybody else and having row for this and all, if they're greeted back with a smile and some understanding and realize that we expected you to be negative, we expected you to not be, as optimistic as we hoped you would be, but we're waiting for you to become that. Then you'll lead them. You'll lead them to that water again.
Well, I think too sometimes it's I've always struggled with the saying you can take a horse to water but you can't make it drink, and I recognize what it means and the like. But for me, and this is something that I've put on my calendar to how do I wrestle with this, because you spent all this time preparing this thing, you've brought this person to this place, and then you gotta let the water just stare back at the horse, the reflection, and it's going to die of thirst, right? So we can do IV for people. Let's find a way.
Well, I always say too, why'd you let your horse get so daggone thirsty?
There you go. Right? So
and the other thing too is you will get enough salt in your water or in your mouth that you will be sort of like eager to drink if somebody would bring you a little thing and put it on the tip. So like in the word, the guy was, I have nobody to dip me in the pool. And he's like, do you want to be made whole? And the question was there, how many of us can actually ask ourselves, do we really want to be made whole?
But it's also the example, right? So the Scots and the others, but it's also the professional. So like Dr. Ramesh, together with your team at Health City, if you have a community that understands its health, if you have a community that is publicly aware, not to talk people's business, but if you understand the realities, Mr. Dauncey, you shared something that was very striking at the beginning and is still very sensitive. The number of suicides in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We're in a community or a space and a place where we're not understanding what is happening to our friends, our family, to ourselves, because we don't talk about it, we don't reach out. And that has to change, and maybe Saturday
it's the disconnect, and that's what our logo is: connect, train. Our slogan: connect, train, excel. Once you connect with these people, you're inspired to train safely, and the result being you start to excel in not just your physical wellness, but your emotional and your career and your whole life wellness.
First-time Guardian racer in the very first Guardian is going to next year's Boston Marathon.
There you go.
As an elite qualifier.
There you go. And our first,
just like that.
And our first sponsored, Heather Francis, go girl. See you out there Saturday. And our first sponsored athlete for the marathon, because we get a prize from the Cayman Islands Marathon for a person who wants to try it but can't afford it. And he almost qualified for the Boston. He didn't even know what a Boston was. And he missed it by 3 minutes, only because he didn't listen to us about training. He would, if he had trained a little bit smarter, because I got my advice from him and I gave it to him. And he was like, oh, no, I got this. And he hit the wall.
Smart until you get me on the road.
Yeah, he hit the wall. So he talks about that. He's given me a blurb and everything. He talks about that now, and he's coaching the next recipient. Please be careful. There is a wall. It's real. And we are going to try to ensure that that person gets connected with Scott, that they can train safely, or that they have a certified coach that can train them. Because we don't want people just going out there and doing the full marathon. That's why we really started this. So he used to go out there and sweep people and bring them in without doing Guardians. So he's the original, the inspiration and all that sort of stuff. And he came for me. So this is what I'm saying. People need to train carefully to do these, to understand, because they can seriously hurt themselves.
True.
The amount of lactic acid in the body and all that sort of stuff.
And only that, if you do it wrongly, knee injuries or those kind of things can also be a huge setback. So supervision is important.
Yeah.
Apathy is the first thing to keep people off the road. Injury is the second. So I'll take care of the apathy. You take care of the injury. And we'll see you in Boston.
And that's the partnership that I think is this community. The notion that we live in a space, and whether it's Barkas or the public beach, open air, the taste of the salt, the feel of the sun under your feet. And it's just something of what it does for the mind, but what it can do for the body, and if you do it safely. So that partnership.
So much of this whole last bit of these 2 years has been so many things that are dividing people. It's us versus them, and the only way you know you're an us is if you're being pointed at by somebody else being called a them. And it's really not that way. As an undertaker, as a doctor, every time you look inside somebody, it's all wired the same way.
Exactly the same.
Color blood.
And for people to sit back and say, oh, that's not for me, I'm not a fill in the blank. That's for expats. Oh, that's for Caymanians. Oh, that's for this. Oh, no, they're from West Bay. Or what? I am so tired of hearing that in this precious community that is Cayman. That was Cayman before Caymankind. When we really looked out after one another. This is your chance to come together and put some things aside and just take a minute to make your healthiness a priority.
Yeah, health and wellness.
Everybody wants you to be that way. It doesn't make a difference who you're for or where you're from.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Gonza, I appreciate you coming on today. I particularly appreciate the opportunity to speak to Dr. Sandeep and Dr. Ramesh as physicians for sharing, and congrats on running out in front of the
1742
with an AED in hand.
You better have one. You better have one. You go that fast.
I tell you, man, no modesty there. So as we close our discussion, just a recap, please, Mr. Gonza. So Saturday morning,
please come out, and especially my West Bay people. It's a West Bay event, free of charge. Please just get registered so that our chefs can make sure that they're prepared properly. Don't wait until the 11.5 hour. Please get registered, and we have so many people from town already registered and other districts and stuff. West Bay, let's get going with the shining here. We want to see you out there. We have photographers to show you what you look like, being happy, and we feed you. It's just a no-brainer. Please come out. We want you to come out. We want to love on you. We want to serve the underserved, the tired moms. We have guardians out there who will help you with your child so you can eat your food while it's hot.
All right. Well, is that the Public Beach, 6 a.m.?
The Public Beach, 6 a.m. Come on out.
And thanks so much, Scott and Dr. Sandeep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Dr. Ramesh, always a pleasure, sir.
Thanks.
All right, let's pause and let's keep Susan smiling. What a good day. Stay tuned.
Oh, what a good day.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
It's in our name. Fried chicken, it's our thing. Others may try, but we have the original. We put the extra and extra crispy. And our secret in everyone's mouth. So if we want to make the best chicken sandwich, we just need to put our name on it. New Kentucky Chicken Sandwich. An abundant triple breaded filet, premium mayo and pickles, all in a buttered brioche bun. The best chicken sandwich had to be KFC.
Raising children is costly. That is why each year the Ministry of Education provides, through its Early Childhood Assistance Program, funding to assist Caymanian children to attend an early childhood center. For early childhood funding assistance, call the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267, or download an application form from the Ministry's website at www.gov.ky/education and email the completed form to ecap@gov.ky.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6532 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Again, on Saturday, there's a lot of things happening. We're going to remind you about almost all. And there is a way, you can almost do it all if you so choose, because it's just an idea of planning your schedule and getting involved and engaged as much as you want. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. And for some of us, I think the notion, we are probably losing, increasingly seeing an absence of at least, that we are our brother's keeper, right? And when I say that, I think you should recognize that I mean male and female alike. We get so caught up sometimes in labels that we probably forget the importance that there are real people that are affected and impacted by all that we say and do. So we want to hear from you. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. That's 1-800-534-TALK. And Saturday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the Public Beach. Get a chance to be part of the Guardians Alive and all their sponsors, including Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Sandeep and the team over at Health City, to be a part, of a community initiative that brings together, not just the caring professionals, all the different volunteers, but the chefs and some athletes that, by example, could demonstrate to you that, hey, they're where they are now, but not overnight. That they, like Scott Ruby has shared countless times, he was, glued to the couch, as he shared publicly, and it has been a great inspiration for many. He was morbidly obese, and now look at him, considered an elite athlete. So if we give, to each other the tips that can help others to eat, better, not just their food choices and the selections and the preparation and the timing, but the notion to rest our bodies and our minds, the idea that we need to engage physically our bodies and our minds and help others to a wellness journey that brings to them a very healthy perspective on life. A lot is transpiring. Sadly, a lot has transpired, and there are, sadly, again, so much that we're unwilling to acknowledge, and even worse, to try to engage and discuss a lot of things in such a small place that almost go and void, and nobody wants to not even see the elephant in the room. Well, let's talk about whatever you want, and in so doing, reminded that the former Savannah primary schools event in conjunction with Pedro. So wonderful opportunity again. That happens at 10 a.m. It goes to 4 p.m. if I recall correctly. So you could do the Guardians Alive. You could go up and take your family and enjoy a trip from West Bay at the Public Beach. I say the Public Beach. I'll come to that in a second again, as we emphasize the importance of retaining the names of the places that were familiar to us. When the GSCs first, took what was a fairly swampy little piece of beach, in some spots you can still see it. You may be surprised to know that the beaches had little areas that were a little swampy, surrounded by some wonderful, not just the mangroves, but incredibly, wonderful white sandy little pebbles and fine greens that almost disappeared under your feet, to what now is a developer's paradise, heavily abused and confused, as it were. But that may offend some people, so be it. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. I say that to share that yesterday, the gentleman who called earlier called yesterday as well, and he was relaying to us his gratitude for the Honorable Agriculture Minister and the visit to the BRAC, and listening and sitting and talking with the farming community and trying to help them address some of the issues. And he shared that water supply, good water, was essential, as it is to the plants, it is to the person. And following his call, a number of other individuals, touch base with me off air as I was out and about in person at times and say, we need to speak to this. One reminded me of a comment I made. I can't take credit for it. I won't take credit for it. I'm sure when the gentleman said it to me, he had said, if I recall correctly, that it wasn't his idea, that we should look at Kimmerback being the bread basket. Now, that was the word he used to me. He said he wasn't sure that was the word that was used to him, not a phrase. But it's such a wonderful place, a rich heritage of farming, but the land there is so arable. And it could be a great opportunity for the country to ensure food security. Now, we have Grand Cayman being heavily developed, some overdeveloped, some say not enough so. And, here's the BRAC that could be that space that feeds the nation. Let's take the caller. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I thought Miss Susan said I would have to wait until after the news.
Well, she says, no matter what, wait if you wish, but time does not wait for anyone. But you're more than welcome to join us if you want to be.
True.
Yeah.
However, what I would like to say,
Mm-hmm.
I want to engage you in it. So, you know what? You do your news, and I'll talk to you right after the news.
Okay, well, you're more than welcome to do that if you wish, and I'm certainly happy to listen and to be engaged. And as you share, those who recognize the voice recognize that there's a strong intellect behind that as well. So happy to do that as well. And according to the digital clock and the scarlet illuminated letters hanging from that, it says 157. So we will share with our listeners, and we want you, each and every one of you, to very much use the opportunities provided to comment constructively if possible, comment freely, and recognizing that in a democracy, for it to be healthy, a populace must be able to share its view. Now, when we share our views, we kind of be reminded to do so in the most responsible, respectful manner. Sorry, Miss Susan? Oh, well, let's return to the call.
Miss Susan thinks that we should not waste even a minute of our God-given time.
She's a wise lady, huh?
She's more than wise and beautiful with it.
Well, I'm glad that you say that, because I think that's...
What a package. What a package. Anyway, I will just start this, and then after the news we can continue.
If that's fine with you, yes.
Yeah, now this is an issue about our local banks, and I'm sure I'm not the first one to be disgruntled or dismayed even at some of the things that are going on and some of the changes as it pertains to local customers. I'm not talking about this international and the money laundering systems and all of that. But I have to tell you something that occurred this morning that left me like shaken in disbelief. I went to the Royal Bank of Canada, downtown Shedden Road, to make a deposit to someone's account, only to be told that they do not accept deposits from one person to someone else's account. They refer to that as a third-party account. So I said, surely this can't be so, because this person is overseas and needs me to put money on their debit card, like, right away. They need money right away. Anyway, I asked even to speak to our supervisor or the manager, and they insisted that it can't be done other than if I do an online transfer. So in other words, it's not that you cannot deposit to someone else's account, but you just can't come into the branch and do it in person. So, of course, my hypothetical scenario, but what happens if you don't have access or you can't make an online transfer? Because that can also be a nightmare. And I was very curtly told, well, you'll have to make some other arrangement. Now, I've never heard that from any other bank, and I have to say Royal Bank was also the first one to start this insane thing of charging to cash a check, one of their own checks. They were the first people that started that. So I'm so afraid that this thing is going to spread like COVID, and other banks will soon be telling you that.
Well, it's interesting that you share that, and as you recognize, we'll go to the news, but here's something to consider so that if you're inclined, we can discuss after. As you're talking, as you're talking, I'm reminded of a number of comments, and one recently from one of the established businesses that went to its bank, its primary bank, wanted to get U.S. cash. I don't recall the sum, but withdrew the U.S. cash from the bank's existing U.S. dollar account at that bank, only to be charged money for withdrawing the U.S. cash. Seems a new practice. So maybe we can talk about that. That's part of the issue.
Let's talk about all of these irritating, annoying, and perhaps even slightly illegal practices that have been introduced. So I'll hold right there.
Thank you, Mom. All right. Well, with that, stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Residents should take steps now to reduce their power consumption as Caribbean Utilities warns of increasing fuel prices and temperatures. The utility says unprecedented increases in fuel cost combined with increased consumption associated with summer months could lead to, quote, significant bill increases. In international news, Ukrainian authorities have released pictures apparently showing one of the celebrated Snake Island soldiers receiving a medal. Roman Grabov was among a small group defending the island on the first day of the conflict. He became famous for his response to a demand for their surrender from a Russian warship. It was thought the Ukrainians were killed on Snake Island, but they were actually captured by Russian forces and have now been released in a prisoner swap. Scientists say they can now precisely match drugs to people's genetic code. Some drugs are completely ineffective or become deadly because of subtle differences in how our bodies function. The British Pharmacological Society and the Royal College of Physicians say a genetic test can predict how well drugs work in your body. The test could be available on the NHS next year. Will Smith has apologized to Chris Rock after he slapped him at the Oscars, saying his behavior was unacceptable and inexcusable. It comes after the Oscars Film Academy condemned Smith over the incident and announced a formal review. The star slapped Rock in the face on stage after the comic made a joke about the actor's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us as we return to the phones for this open line segment. Glad that the caller was able to share, and equally appreciative of our willingness to stay online. As you were sharing, Mom.
Yes, we were talking about, the shock that I got this morning that I couldn't deposit to a third-party account. Now, I have people who work for me, and I deposit money to their account all the time, but it's at a different bank because, just think of your employer, who I believe is the Cayman Islands government. Mm-hmm. How does your salary get into your account every month? I'm sure they're not bringing cash to you.
I think that I was going to make an attempt at a joke and say they probably got some bots driving across, but no, it is interesting. And that practice, even depositing, so you give me your money to put into your account, or I owe you money, and you say, listen, save me some time, go to the bank, put it into my account. That seems to be a difficult practice. I'm also told that if you wanted to pay your credit card at some banks, you just can't go to the bank and say, here's my credit card statement, here's the form that you need, here's the money, can I pay it? You got to either do it online or deposit it to your account for that to be transferred to the I'm wondering what's the point? I mean, maybe there's a understandable explanation, but doesn't seem so.
Yeah, that is exactly my point. What is their point?
Mm-hmm.
Because now they told me if I can do it online, it's fine. So online from my account to that person's account, if for whatever reason they think we're doing something wrong or illegal, wouldn't it be the same thing? I'm still getting it into the other person's account. You know, the only thing I can see, they're trying to discourage people from coming into the bank itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be that. I do appreciate that what you're sharing, if people don't recognize it by now, has been something that many people have had some concerns about, you know, in terms of their banking. So they'll go to the bank with a sum of money, and it's under the 10,000 or the 5,000, whatever the limit is now, and say, listen, you know, today's takings from whatever, even if they can source of funds and proof and whatever the bank requires, they almost felt as if they're being criminalized for what is relatively a small amount. But what are we doing when the City of London seemingly, according to international reports, you know, some of the biggest money laundering goes through there?
Well, I can tell you for a fact, this isn't what someone told me, this has been my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into the City of London and within 15 minutes you can have an account opened without even showing a bank reference. When I left here and migrated, you know, to the UK, I took 2 bank references for me. One I think I paid $25 for and another one $30 for, because our banks do nothing for free. I took bank references with me, and I didn't have to show one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in and out with an account set up, debit card in my hand, all sorts of offers. Do you need a credit card? Do you need a loan? Do you need this? Do you need that? And all I had to show was my UK passport. That was it. No
residency with a utility bill or anything, huh?
Let me see. No. At that time I wasn't even asked to show it. Just my UK passport, to the best of my knowledge. That's all I had to show to get my account open.
Well, what is interesting, again, you know, I didn't check yesterday or today, but in recent times, from what I'm told from some people, people who have an established account at their bank that they've been at for the longest time have, you know, substantial borrowings, savings, or what have you. So different people, and they want to open up an account, another account for themselves, or they want to open up an account for a sibling or for even a child. Have had to produce almost everything, and then
everything from scratch. Like, they don't know you. You know, I've had to say in the past, but you would be my bank reference because you're my banker.
Right. And I'm told of 2 instances, and this isn't to be jovial, certainly isn't intended to be offensive. But just recently, a fellow said he was in the process of opening up an account for a grandchild. Right? At first, the grandchild had to be a certain age. That was resolved, and then still struggling with it. But he took on a new employee, and all he had to do, was provide some simple things, the employment letter and different things, and the account was open in no time at all. The receipt. Now, it's just interesting how these things happen.
Sterling is beyond me because it defies logic. If you can show me a reason, if you can produce the logic, like what is this? And the lady that I spoke to this morning, well, I really had to excuse myself. I just said, have a good day, because I was on the verge of, if you can show me the logic, I am here at your counter wanting to make this deposit, and the bank isn't very busy right now, but you're going to say to me, you have to make it another way. If you don't have access to online, you have to do something else. But if you can go online, you can transfer online from one bank to the other. Of course, that will cost you. But that's not even the point. My point here right now is I am still going to deposit funds into someone else's account. And, that's not an unusual practice. That is the most common practice because it's how most people do their payroll.
Mm-hmm.
You can be doing a payroll and you have deposits going to multiple banks for different employees.
Mm-hmm. It's something to consider, and I reflect on perhaps comments from men in the community that believe that just for argument's sake, you have a monetary authority, that perhaps its role extends to this, and this. Let's say the fees or the policies that the bank may establish, and may or may not be that role under the purview of the monetary authority, as some would expect. So is it the challenge that as a community we're not cognizant of what the bank can and can't do? Is it that there is no sufficient oversight and sort of supervision, perhaps?
There's not, and this is my humble opinion. The Monetary Authority and OFREG are two institutions that cost the government a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, they still have to show what they do for locals. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what the Monetary Authority does in terms of the huge picture, which is the $1 trillion industry. But even there, I think they're not doing that much because we're still gray listed. We're still, having to do all these things. However, I wouldn't dispute that. But I can tell you, when that $5 to cash a bank's own check came in, the first place I went to was the Monetary Authority about that. Mm-hmm. And they told me they could do nothing. They had no remit over those kind of things. So when I went back to the bank, and they wanted to take the $5, I said, no, you can't, because that would be like me putting my hand over your counter and taking $5 out of your drawer. You would tell me I'm stealing, and you'd report me. Well, this check I need the full value of, otherwise I'm being short paid. So you cannot take any $5 off my pay. Off my check. And at that particular time they didn't, and I made sure that I've never gone back to that bank again. Yeah. But those things are just plain wrong, and if it's not the Monetary Authority, then I think it should be turned over to the police, because I think that is criminal. When a bank is charging you to cash one of their own checks, a check that's drawn on them, and they have already charged their client, the person who wrote the check to you, Sterling Dwayne wrote a check to Lorna E. Bush. They have already charged Sterling Dwayne for the convenience of having a bank account with them, for the cost of the check itself, for the stamp duty that they say was paid on the check, and anything else, because they have drummed up more charges and more fees. Their compliance fees, regulatory fees. They're more
monitoring fee, supervision fee.
Anything you want to talk about, they're making a real rundown out of it, tell you the God's truth. But they really, really can do anything. And once upon a time, one of our elected representatives, who's still there and has risen to some of the highest positions in his own party or in the government, told me outright, he said, the banks have a license to steal. The banks have licenses to steal. And I said, well, who grants them these licenses that can give them, complete, they can do whatever they feel like, and there's no question asked. We can call a local bank and we're getting answered by people in every part of the world who have no idea about anything that's on locally, we're getting so much less and paying so much more. That's really what I'm saying. We're paying so much more for the privilege of saying you have a bank account, and getting so much less in return.
And trying to be unbanked is not an option, right? Anything else you want to share with us, Mom? All right.
I have a lot, but we'll leave it right there.
Well, whenever you're so inclined.
I won't mix up the rundown too much.
No, well, it's good, I think a good, fish dinner always needs a little bit.
Just fish. We'll get some salt beef going, or salt mackerel or something.
Another time, eh? There you go, man. All right.
All right.
Blessings to you. Take care. And those words may resonate with some and cause them to be so concerned that they may take action. There are others that may be inflamed and offended. Well, if it's because the truth is being shared, what can we do? If it's that, there's a misunderstanding and a misperception, let's correct that. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center invites you to join them on Sunday, April 3rd for their second annual Turtle Crawl 5K Walk and Run. All funds raised from the event will support the conservation of green sea turtles in the Cayman Islands. So come on out and show your support. The second annual Turtle Crawl 5K Walk and Run. Learn more and register now at www.turtlecrawl.ky. Proudly sponsored by HSM, Rotary Central, Advanced Fire Services, Gatorade, and Radio Cayman.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. A few more minutes left in our open line segment here on this truly terrific Tuesday's edition of Talk Today, as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. 949-8037, toll free with the compliments of Flo. If you wish to dial, that's on 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Want to read this WhatsApp that was shared with us earlier. But call and share your thoughts. This listener writes, says, according to CNS, Ofrig has not been able in 5 years and is still present unable to determine how to address the concerns of the public with respect to its fuel prices. So where is their expertise? And now notification of a secondment of a veteran civil servant that knows nothing about fuel regulations? Since we have not had refueling at the storage tanks in Cayman, why have the prices at the pumps been raised? Who is knowledgeable enough to answer my query and calm my irritated emotions? Well, you're probably recognizing, as some have shared, that increasingly, with the price of fuel, increasing as a result of what's transpiring, you're probably going to be concerned about the cost of living, from the food supply to the fuel for our cars. we're told for some reason that since the summer months come around, it gets hotter, and therefore fuel prices or your cost to cool your homes, your electric bills are going to increase. And it is interesting, I think, as we look at some of the sentiments expressed by some of our listeners, that increasingly more and more individuals are starting to not only become cognizant of what has been happening, or maybe it's new occurrences, or maybe there's just new people who are no longer unwilling to let things transpire in a vacuum. But what is it that is plaguing you? What is it, as the last caller who shared, that find there needs to be some redress? It could just simply be a better understanding of the banking practices. It may be, as some perceive, that there needs to be a greater supervision and intervention. It may be that some are just finding ways to monetize their services so much so that the profit margins are that much more inflated. But at the end of the day, as the caller shared, if you go, to your bank and you deposit your check or your cash or whatever the instrument is, you expect that amount will be credited to your account. Now, there will be fees assessed, and at the end of the period, whether it's a week or a month or a quarter, fees are assessed and your account will be reduced by that amount. Perhaps that's the cost of doing business. But you would expect, as the caller shared, that if you went and you say, listen, I have this money instrument as a money order or draft of some sort or a check, and you want to cash it, that you should get the face value of that amount. You're probably not expecting to, if the check is for $100, to be given a sum less than what was written out to you. Now, some places, and they figure, well, that's okay, that's part of business. Some places, like the Casa de Cambios, the money transfer houses, you expect to pay for that convenience, as it were, and not get the same value as a much more established, regulated entity within the financial services sector. If you look, for instance, as an example, you have Russia having some challenges accessing the international markets because they were denied use of the SWIFT system as a part of its sanction. Now, that may put them at some challenges relative to their ability to finance its affairs, whether it's the unfolding event in Europe or whether it's its own operations at home or elsewhere. It just shows how interconnected the world is. But on a local scale, how do you feel about banks being able to do what it does the way it does? Now, some would quite rightly share, well, if the banks are not profitable, you can't expand its operations and services. You can't take on or retain staff and be the corporate citizen in terms of using some of its profits and its personnel to support and sponsor other charitable and community events. Some would share, well, business is in the business of making money, and even the non-profits need to be able to function in a cost-effective way so that the funds that it raises can support the services that it wants to provide. Very few would disagree with that. At the end of the day, some would question, well, at what point is something seeming to be extortionate? Is this expense one that is reasonable, or is it exorbitant? Now, depends on where you stand. 8949-8837, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261, and share your thoughts. I looked at, during the break, I had a comment from one of our listeners that was concerned at the ever-increasing cost of living. And even though there's a minimum wage, and even though some people receive relatively good salaries, whether it's comparable to their colleagues in the sector, or whether it's a little bit less because of some reason, or a little bit more. Even on good salaries, and I paraphrase what was shared, some people are still challenged to, make ends meet and to save. As was shared earlier, even the free event that Guardians Alive is putting on Saturday, even though the breakfast is free and the intent is to be able to cater to 1,000, just being able to get the vegetables cost twice as much as Mr. Donson shared, and that's assuming that you can get what you're looking for. Hey, let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sir Landrine. How are you doing today?
Good to hear from you. I'm doing well. I'm blessed, man. How are you?
Great. I can't complain. Taking the rough life ease and enjoying the cool weather.
Amen, amen. It is nice and cool outside, huh?
Yes, it is.
And the breeze just makes it feel almost, despite the fact that you probably can't see the sea anymore, makes you almost feel like you live in an island.
Yeah. We need a helicopter to see the sea now.
Imagine that, eh?
Yeah, you were talking just now about the financial institutions there doing the charges on these checks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a criminal act, to be honest, because if I write you a check, I've already paid the bank for that check,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on top of that, I get charged another fee when the check is cashed again. And then the person that I wrote it to is now getting charged a fee to cash the check. Well, what you do, you go and you ask the bank what that fee is for, and they can't tell you. Every cashier you go to will give you a different answer for that fee. And I know about it because I've had it happen to me.
Is it someone just messaged and asking, and maybe I can phrase it this way: is it that we're pushing more and more to use a digital platform to have not just things done online, but to move away from physical cash? So we want everything to be electronic, whether it's the swipe of the card, the digital currency, whatever it is. This is person's comment.
It's going to come to that eventually.
Mm.
It's going to come to that eventually.
I mean,
but why are you penalizing someone for writing a check? Because that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're penalizing. Tell your clients then, or your bank, whatever you want to call them,
mm-hmm.
Hey, look, we're not going to issue checks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay your staff or whoever it is you are writing that check to by electronic means.
But I mean, it's you look at some of us, right? We have this electronic piece of plastic thing, and whenever we're making our purchases, we use that, whether we're buying something for $5 or $500. And then there are some of us who like to have a little cash on hand because they're little small little purchases. You go to the grocery, you'll make your purchase, and you want to give the bagger $1 or $2, or as I've seen, thankfully, many.
Right.
$3 or $4, for the bagging, right? There are some people who don't have any cash on them. They're like, well, can you cashier, as you swipe in, add another $5 to that, or another 50 cents? They can't, right? Unless you purchasing something. So you don't have any money to give to the bagger.
To the little bagger, yeah.
All right. So if you move away, I mean, how do we, I guess at some point we'll have something imprinted in our system, maybe just one person touch the other and transfer credits, I guess. Give them a payment that way. Who knows, huh?
Who knows? But it's really something that I don't cherish. I mean, let me give you another scenario. What if I owe you, let's say $5, and I say, well, I don't have no cash, but I can write you a check. Yeah, I'm taking and giving you a check that cost me and I'll use it as 10 cents, just using it as that for the check leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, when the check is cashed, my bank has charged me a service fee for that.
Mm-hmm.
Then turn around now, it's only a $5 check, but you get nothing out of it because your bank charged you, or the bank charged you $5 to cash it.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong. It is totally wrong, because you're being charged for something that not
Mm-hmm.
your fault.
Mm-hmm. It's something to consider, and maybe as the lady who called prior, referenced the politician, maybe it's a time that perhaps we look at, as we are with many legislative reforms, look at this so that it's profitable for the financial sector, but it's also one where the public doesn't feel as if it's being penalized, as you shared. Any quick final thoughts, my friend?
Well, it's not so much the politicians, but the monetary authority.
Well,
but no, that's about it for me for today.
Man. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for listening, and thank you for weighing in. All right.
All right.
Have a good afternoon, and thanks too. Welcome back to Miss Susan. If you're free to back now, she was enjoying this siesta, hiatus. I wouldn't call it a sabbatical because it wasn't long enough. But welcome back. She celebrated her birthday. I think we did a good job embarrassing her the other day on air with her endeavor to sing. We're told, she actually was questioning whether she should resign instead of come back and associate with those horrible singers. But nah, just kidding. What do you want to say to our listeners, Miss Susan, as we wrap it up? Welcome back. Come on, let's hear her voice. And I want to almost request a song, but I won't just yet.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We weren't kidding. She's back.
Mm-hmm.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Thank you for the birthday request and the attempt at singing.
But you notice how I didn't sing. I hummed. DJ Nalin was smart. We hummed.
Right.
And we did it, and then a couple of listeners chimed in. So good as the gentleman, our wonderful guest, Miss Stephanie, did it in French.
I heard that.
That was amazing.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, very nice.
I tell you, man. No auto tune either. That's really good.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to
nice to be back.
Welcome you back publicly, and to our listeners. This is what we have to deal with, So make sure you stay tuned. And what's the next song after we started queued up, Miss Susan? A little preview.
Miss You Like Crazy, Natalie Cole.
It's a song that I would like to dedicate to whoever wants to feel as if it's for them. Until tomorrow. Let me not say no more. Let me just end with a smile. Be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
All that talk, sit back, relax. Easy listening on the way. You're listening to Susan.